When asked about the best sci-fi action films, Total Recall definitely ranks as one of the best. 30 years later, the Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle is still a shining example of combining both genres perfectly. This is of course aided by Paul Verhoeven's splash of hyperkinetic action and political commentary in a near-futuristic world that seems to be becoming more and more realistic every day. It's got everything you want: the guns, the explosions, mutants, holograms, the strong women, the ruthless villains, and especially the quotable one-liners.
Consider that a divorce.
Even a hooker with 3 boobs in it. What's not to like? Aside from all this, Total Recall is also a thought-provoking mystery. Through an arousing, inciting incident, intriguing characters, and its almost trigger-happy exposition that really makes it more than your average on-the-run action movie. So today, let's take a closer look at the characters and the exposition of Total Recall and try to decipher whether or not our protagonist is dreaming. Before we get into the story, let's briefly go over dreams.
What the hell are dreams anyway?
Dreams are our way into the subconscious mind and our natural way to escape reality when we sleep. Dreams can be an extension of our reality.
The truth is, we still don't know what they are or where they come from.
As better stated, dreams are quoted by psychotherapist Joshua Miles as often an unconscious reflection of our internal anxieties, fears, desires, hopes, and fantasies. Now let's apply this to the film. Douglas Quaid is a construction worker living in a new town with his beautiful blonde wife, Lori. Before we get introduced to them, the film makes a wise choice to open with a dream sequence on Mars. Seeing his dreams are extremely important here, Mars is the planet of interest, and the woman present alongside Quaid is not his wife. We learn that he's had nightmares like these before, and the same woman is included in them. However, the most important value to Doug is his desire. Despite being married to someone beautiful, he feels unsatisfied with his life and wishes for things to be better. With his construction job, it's clear he is far from wealthy and most likely can't afford a trip to Mars. The answer to all of his troubles comes in the form of Recall, a place that sells people fake memories. Director Paul Verhoeven has always relished in exploiting consumerism and propaganda through corruption or seduction, and Total Recall is no different. Doug's desire leads him to Recall, which leads to his interview and questionnaire about what his dreams will entail. Our inciting moment comes through the discovery that Doug can assume an alternate identity through what's called the ego trip. Using Robert McKee's novel Dialogue, this is what he refers to as exposition as ammunition, a situation where the information conveyed to the audience can be used to incite and or confuse. It all starts off with a question.
What is it that is exactly the same about every single vacation you have ever taken? You. You're the same. No matter where you go, there you are. It's always the same old you.
Again, Verhoeven is using this tactic to seduce us by tapping into our fantasies. Using exposition as ammunition, we've established an emotional connection through Quaid because we've all had dreams where we become stronger, faster, smarter, and overall better than we currently are. It's the kind of ambition anyone can get behind, and advertising a way to achieve it without any sort of effort is a path many would take, despite the potential danger involved. But in order to sway us further, a promise has to be given. This is when Quaid is told the reality of his dream will be as real as any memory in his head, and that he simply won't know the difference. And the goal of any story is to deliver more than what's promised.
But you rest assured, by the time the trip is over, you get the girl, kill the bad guys, and save the entire planet.
In its own unique way, Total Recall chooses not to follow the deeper meaning of exposition as ammunition because a character or characters need to have, quote, knowledge of the past, present, themselves, and each other that your readers or audience members will need to know in order to follow events. Instead, dramatic irony is used. This effectively makes every scene more intriguing, whether dream or reality, because our hero relies on characters who ultimately know more than he does. We also make discoveries alongside him, and these discoveries propel him into the next scene. Through this, we're going to look at 2 different but equally important characters, Richter and Malina, and how they function throughout the story. But first, let's address Malina. Malina is the woman of Doug's desire, but most importantly, she's the main link between his reality and his fantasy. What makes her stand out is the fact that she's present through Doug's opening dream sequence. He doesn't know her name, just her face, and it's very clear she's going to be an important character from the very start. They meet at the film's exact midpoint, but she refers to him by another name, Hauser. She also knows that Hauser used to work for the villain, and she was the driving force to get him to see things differently, and it's confirmed they had a relationship in the past. This can then confirm how his dream of her was more than just a dream. Quaid falling at the beginning was basically a metaphor for them being separated. almost like splitting a picture in half. Despite having a dream about her, he clearly remembers what she looks like and gives us a reason to believe it's really happening. Now let's address Richter. Like Malina, he's a character who can be perceived as real or as fantasy. He's the main force trying to kill our hero, and he's married to Lori, so there's a personal vendetta involved. He's the character who delivers and receives exposition from Cohaagen, and yet he is the only major character that Quaid didn't meet or witness during his time before going to recall. In reality, he's married to Lori, sees Cohaagen on TV, knows Harry from work, hears Quado's name mentioned through the news, and Malina, of course, through his dreams. There's never a mention of Richter in any of these scenes. No matter the version, he is as ruthless as they come thanks to Michael Ironside's brilliant performance. Richter definitely feels like a real character because he acts on his own free will, frequently defying his employer to kill the man who slept with his wife. At the same time, every secret agent story needs an adversary, and incorporating one with a personal grudge is definitely something that can be used in a dream. Also, the idea of being chased is very common in dreams, and if Quaid is a compromised agent, being pursued comes with the job description. Now, getting deeper into the film, the most important scene comes right after the midpoint through Doug's meeting with Dr. Edgemar. In the traditional 3-act structure, this is where the plot gets complicated. He tries to explain that Quaid is simply dreaming, and that he's been artificially implanted as an emergency measure. Just look at how the camera angle becomes low, as if we're witnessing the confusion alongside Quaid. Here, once again, we are implementing exposition as ammunition. Going back to dialogue by Robert McKee about exposition, he states, "At pivotal moments, let your characters use what they know as exposition in their struggles. The revelations will deliver the pleasure of discovery. We as the audience want this to be real, because it will fulfill Quaid's desire to become more than he thought he was, and that his journey leads to a conclusion that feels satisfying." So was Quaid just dreaming, or are the events in the film really happening? There's compelling arguments for both sides. When Quaid is knocked out during the implant, it's revealed the special package was not yet implanted into his head, and that his outburst about his cover being blown was triggered accidentally. Now, if we're looking at the filmmaking techniques and story beats on display, it's most likely to be a dream. Let's look at the final shot of the film. Rather than a fade out or a simple cut to black, we slowly fade to white and then cut to black. The fade to white can mean Quaid is finally waking from his dream, and the cut to black is his subsequent lobotomization. Now let's go back to the sweat moment. This can definitely be read as real, but if Quaid is having a paranoid delusion as stated by the doctor, this could just be his mind coming up with a trigger to retrain himself into believing it's real. When Quaid is being questioned at recall, one of the doctors is handed a disc, to which he remarks, "Blue sky on Mars?" Also, when selecting his female companion is completed, the face shown on the screen is Malina herself. Now how would they have an exact picture of her unless it's a dream? And when asked about the hair color, he suggests brunette, but isn't he married to a blonde woman? When Quaid enters the Ritz Hotel after his first encounter with Richter, it's unbelievably convenient the man with the suitcase calls him right when he steps into the room. Again, going back to the scene with Dr. Edgemar, his description of the film's third act is exactly what happens.
The walls of reality will come crashing down. 1 minute, you'll be the savior of the rebel cause, and the next thing you know, you'll be Cohaagen's bosom buddy. You'll even have fantasies about alien civilizations, as you requested, but in the end, back on Earth, you'll be lobotomized.
Also, who are the aliens? They're never shown throughout this entire film. There are mutants on Mars, and while it's briefly mentioned why there are mutants there,
cheap domes and nowhere to clean out the rays.
The closest we get to seeing what an alien looks like is through the mutant psychic Quado. Also, let's think about the title itself. Total Recall. When Quaid finally connects with Quado, we only get one piece of his memory. And while it's the most important piece for the rebels to obtain, no other memories return to Quaid. This can be seen as reality in reference to the doctor at recall saying someone erased Quaid's memory. However, it's strange no other memory of Malina or some memory of Richter didn't slip out. Whether dream or reality, there are consequences to Quaid's desire. But no matter reality or fantasy, this is a film about a man who seeks to become someone more than he thought he was, meets the girl of his dreams, kills the bad guys, and saves the entire planet.
Now you tell me. Isn't that worth a measly 300 credits?
Thank you all so much for watching. Total Recall is a fine example of playing the ultimate guessing game through its intriguing characters, brilliant action sequences, and dialogue that's just as crucial. For those wondering my personal opinion, when I first saw the film, I definitely believed it was real, especially from the sweat moment. But the last shot fading to white really has me convinced it was all a dream. And also, it helps explain what would otherwise be strange coincidences to the overall plot. Do you think he was dreaming, or do you believe it was all real? Please leave a comment in the comment section below and let's discuss. else. Until next time, thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned.